Welcome, everybody, to another Fresh Start Alumni webinar. As I say every time, because it doesn't get old, this is always exciting and a true privilege. And it's close to host and to see everybody from all over the world at this point. Thank you, Rabbi Russell, for joining us from Eretz Yisrael. Of course, we did it at this time both to accommodate Rabbi Russell's schedule, but also to accommodate our friends that are on the other side of the pond. That every time I make a Zoom webinar at 8:30, 9 o'clock at night, I get the usual emails. Hey, what about us? So
which pond?
Which pond? The Atlantic Ocean, usually. Not the Hudson. So we're able to do it now and bring in our friends from the other side of the world. With that being said, this is going to be open-ended tonight. Any questions relating to chinuch, trauma, healing, recovery, addiction, really it's an open-ended discussion and just an opportunity to schmooze and discuss amongst ourselves real-life situations. That being said, Rabbi Russell, why don't we start with you, just giving us a few words of, if you will, maybe divrei bracha, your thoughts on life and recovery, and then I know I have some questions, and I'm sure anybody else who has questions, if you want to ask live, just message us. If you want to ask in private, you can text myself, you can text Tova, and we will ask that. We will ask it on your behalf. But without further ado, Rabbi Russell, please.
Okay, thank you, Yochanan. It's a pleasure as always. It's good to see you and be back connected here. I do the supervision in the morning. I don't get to see everyone. In fact, I don't even know who's there usually. It's just nice. So it's nice to have this venue. I appreciate it very much. Anyway, so a quick thought, just a very quick thought to get it rolling. You asked me, to think of something. And it occurred to me that we just started yesterday, the 3 weeks. For most people, I'm talking about, forget about traumatized people. For most people, this time of year is miserable, totally miserable. We start the 3 weeks. It starts with the tanis. Things get worked out. You can't shave anyway. You can't have a haircut. You can't buy new clothes. Then it gets more intense with Rosh Chodesh and no meat, and then Shvush Chalbai. And of course, then we get to Tisha B'Av. It's a continuing few weeks of time that for most people, unfortunately, there's a feeling of relief when it's over, which is kind of a shame that it should be that way, but it is. And it would be very nice if we could change our relationship to it. And I was thinking of the following thought, that Shabbos Chazon, the Haftarah, which is right before Tisha B'Av of Shabbos Chazon, is of course the vision of Yeshayahu, right? Chazon Yeshayahu, he has this vision of of the Chorban, of what's going to be, and the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. And the Meforshim comment that Chazon, the word Chazon, a vision, actually refers to something positive, not negative. It's used by Chazal when we refer to something very positive. Chazon is a vision. The vision is really something uplifting and is meant to be a positive usage of the word to describe something positive. And yet what he describes is, of course, the Chorban Bayis, which is not very positive at all. It's very negative. So the Nesiv Shalom, the Daka Kodesh, picks up on this and says something so profound that I find it talks to me on a very deep level. And I think it talks to all of us. And what he says is this, very simply: what is the positive message of Chazon Yeshayahu, this vision of, and it's talking about the Chorban? Well, how could that be positive? So he points out that 2 psukim, in the first few psukim, Bonim godalti v'ramamti ben poshabi, my children I brought up, and I elevated them, and they were posher, they rebelled against me. Zera mereim, like evil seed. Bonim mashchisim, again, the children who are mashchis, osvas Hashem, and they left Hashem's ways. And says the Nesiv Shalom, most amazing thing, while this is a description of Klal Yisrael, who were leaving Hashem's ways. But he points out, the Nesiv Shalom, that in this Chazon, this vision, at the worst time, when people were leaving Klal Yisrael and the Churban happened to wake us up, nevertheless, he refers to us as his children. We are his children. And says in the Nesiv Shalom that there's embedded a message that however bad the Klal Yisrael may have been, HaKadosh Baruch Hu always looks at us as his children. And maybe this is a stretch, and maybe it's just me, but I'd like to say the following. Almost everyone has our wounded child. We have a wounded child inside. The wounded child had a job to do. What was its job? It was to help us. It reacted to traumatic events to help us and guide us through life. Of course, as we become adults, that same wounded child can get in the way, and it can hurt us because it's functioning to protect us from traumatic events that perhaps aren't really happening anymore, but we have PTSD. How do we relate to that child inside us? So I feel that the way we relate is with love, with kindness, with understanding, that its entire purpose was to help us, that whatever it did was only reactive. My inner child was reactive, really to help me survive. It put me into fight and flight. So I think just as HaKadosh Baruch Hu looks at Klal Yisrael and sees us as his children, regardless of the rebellion perhaps that we're doing, Hashem can see deeper and see that we're struggling, we're hurting, and that we're still his children, even at the worst time of the Churban, the way the Nesiv Shalom describes. It behoves us that when we see in my own inner child and its struggles, that I approach it with love and kindness and understanding, that you were there to help me. And I appreciate the value what you gave me and tried to help me with my life. Only now I'm going to step in and take over. But I appreciate and value you. I only have love for you. And that can actually help. That validation is actually what helps the child be able to step aside and allow the adult to step forward and take over. We look at the child and understand its job was really there to protect us and to help us. We see the pneumius of the pneumius. I think just as Hashem sees the pneumius of every person and sees that we're all struggling. We're not bad, we're just struggling. And we're still his children. There you go. Just a thought to begin with.
Great. Thank you, Rabbi Russell. That is quite on point for the work that we do here and what I think all of us involved try and work on every day. And we have some better days and worse days. Okay, so I do want to jump to questions. We have a live one. Again, if anybody wants to ask a live question to Rabbi Russell, now's your time. It's, like I said, open-ended.
Any subject, chinuch, parenting, trauma, you name it. Let's just go.
Yeah, let's hit it. So Frivit, if you want to unmute yourself, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the Fresh Start family to wish Frivit a hearty mazel tov on her recent wedding. Although it's been a couple months, but mazel tov on that. And go ahead, take it away.
Thank you. Rabbi Russell, as usually, I really appreciate everything. You taught me so much. But I asked you previous questions. I grew up in a very Hasidic environment, but I don't raise my kids that way. And I find that when it comes to my kids are very different, have a very different lifestyle. I grew up, so I told my daughter, I don't know things, so we'll learn together. And I feel like a lot of times when it comes to parents, like specifically, I feel like setting boundaries, I feel it gets a little bit confused and or like let me explain it this way. I'm trying to set boundaries, healthy boundaries, but I want to understand what's the difference of setting a healthy boundary and controlling. Because I don't want to be a controlling parent. I don't want to be a helicopter parent. I feel like my daughter is 16. I think 16-year-olds, like you, I heard once one of your shirim, and you said that God gave the teenage years to explore life and to, this is when they they explore, they make mistakes, and they learn from life. But as a parent, I need to also protect her, and I it's not I can teach her wrong from right because I didn't live this life, but also what I really want to understand where it comes gets where the difference is controlling versus setting healthy boundaries.
Okay, so it's a wonderful question. The truth is, every parent of a teenager, especially at that age, has the same question. If you don't have that question, then you're not involved with the kid. You gave up. Look, the reality is, if you would make a list, if I gave you a clipboard and I gave you a piece of paper and a pencil right now, and I asked you to write a list of all the things that you have effective control over your daughter. She's 16, right?
Right.
Effective control. And I'll tell you what effective control means. Imagine you're writing this list for me now. Effective control means you can get her to do something she doesn't want to do, or you can stop her doing something she does want to do without hurting your relationship with her.
I don't think there is any.
What's on your list?
Nothing.
Okay, so you've gone over that place of having control over her. You're done. Because you always prioritize your relationship with your daughter. That's always the priority, that she feels connected to you and you can feel connected to her. So you can suggest what happens is when you shift with a girl of that age, where you can recognize, I don't have effective control anymore. So the boundaries are going to be like, they have in stores that are the price on goods, the recommended retail price. So your recommended is the recommended retail price. That's what you're doing. You're letting her know that she's actually in control, not you. At the same time, what I'm in control of is sharing with you my love for you, my concern for you, my feelings about what you're doing or not doing, and I'm going to share that with you, but I'm going to leave the actual control up to you. So what happens is you get into a very privileged place that most parents don't see this so clearly. That I don't want to control her and have her rebel as soon as she's out of sight. As soon as she's out of your sight, she'll do whatever she does anyway. You know that. So the control exceedingly limited. In fact, it's a fantasy. It's what we call a fantasy of compliance. She's just complying because you're watching her, you're looking at her, you're on top of her. It's much, much healthier with a kid of that age to shift to a place where you both recognize I cannot control you and I'm not going to try. What I am going to do is control me to be able to express to you honestly and carefully and lovingly what my concerns are about your life, but I'm leaving it up to you. And you actually get access to where you can talk to her. Whereas if you do the controlling thing first, then she's not listening. She's tolerating you, and then she'll do whatever she wants.
Right.
So,
And I find it that a lot of people are saying things and you should do this, you should do that. This is right, this is wrong. And I get like, I know that you grew up this way and you grew up modern, and for you, I know what makes sense for me, what feels okay for me. If my daughter is doing things that for me, maybe it also feels like I didn't have access. Let's say she has a boyfriend and I didn't have access to that. I think that for me, the most important thing is to give her safety and she can tell me everything and anything and I trust what she tells me is true. I can't. So I have a question. I don't know how explicit I can go just because I want to understand. Like, let's say if she feels comfortable kissing with her boyfriend in a common area, I'm okay with it. I feel like if she feels comfortable doing that in front of me, that means that I'm safe for her. This is what I think. Other people tell me that no, you have to set a boundary. You can't let them, like, she's gonna go to someone else's house and do that. I want her to do it in my house.
Yes, setting a boundary where she will actually do whatever she wants once she's outside your sight, outside, you're not looking at her, she'll do whatever she wants, means you've disconnected your relationship from her, and that's actually much more dangerous for her. It's a lot healthier if you can allow her to be her and that she feels safe with you is actually a lot healthier. Of course, for some people, that's going to create havoc with younger children, what they're going to watch and what they're going to think and what they're going to see. That's a separate issue, not for now. But in general, the principle is I would never sacrifice my authentic relationship with a child over a fantasy of compliance, creating a fantasy when you know she's going to do what she's going to do anyway. What's the point? What did you gain? It's totally a waste of time. I'd much rather she was authentic, honest, and safe with me, and I can do whatever, I can then talk to her totally authentically and lovingly about my concerns for her.
Thank you very much. So it's very straightforward. The relationship with her comes before any boundary. That's
Absolutely.
Okay,
100%.
got it.
Unless it's pikuach nefesh. I mean, if it's genuinely pikuach nefesh, of course, all bets are off. That's common sense. If it's
100%.
that's common sense. You see a God forbid holding a 50 pills in her hand, about to take it. You don't say, listen, these are your choices. You can do it. No, you take the pills away from her. Yes, there are times when it's soft pikuach nefesh, we act, but everything else, you let it go, and you make preference of the relationship over the control.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Very well.
Nachum, are you there? You want to unmute yourself? I think you had a question.
Yeah, thank you so much. I wanted to, my question is like this.
Hello, Rabbi.
Yeah, so I'm learning to try to tune into my feelings and, give value to my feelings, which I've for many years really not been able to do, have a hard time with. And one of the areas that it comes out with is in my marriage relationship. I want to be able to express my needs and find a way to get noticed and get my needs met. And my wife has a really hard time with that. So for a long time in our relationship, I've been just stifling my needs, and then after I'm just burning out, trying to think about her needs. So my question is, I'm trying to balance that. Like, I want to be true to myself, authentic, be able to express my needs. Sometimes I'll express certain things to her, and then it's hard for her to hear, or she'll feel guilty, or she'll feel criticized, and then I go to that place of like, oh no, my shame and my needs, I shouldn't express myself. And
Okay, do you want me to respond? Nachum, it's a great question, but let me show you a delicacy in language. In a marriage, we should always feel safe to express what our needs are. At the same time, we have to be very careful not to control the other person, that they have to do what I need. See, expressing my feelings is fine. Letting her know that if you now don't do what I want you to do, then you failed me. That's terrible. You can't do that. We can never actually control. What we can do is honor each other, and we should honor each other by being open and able to say, look, I want you to know who I am. And as best as you can, I'm sure you'll try and honor me, just as I would like to know who you are and know how you feel. And I'll do my best to honor you. But you have to tell your spouse very clearly, but I don't expect you to be like frightened and intimidated into you have to do everything I want you to do. Sometimes I have to grow. I'm just sharing it with you so you know me. And you can pick and choose and see what works for you. Because not everything I need is going to work for you. But if I give you the menu, I'm sure you'll choose some things from it. And I'll do the same and honor you. You have to be careful not to step over and expect compliance. Now that I've expressed my needs, why aren't you doing it? I told you what I need. Why aren't you doing it? Adrabah, I'll tell you something fascinating, amazing, actually. My adult married children, frequently when they're visiting here, when I get together with them, they often want to sit down with me and discuss their lives and choices and decisions, their struggles and challenges. They often want to discuss it with me, but they're married now, they got a spouse. So I tell them all the time, if you want to discuss your life with me, then just tell me that you understand. I won't be upset if you don't listen to me. Just tell it to me. I want to hear it first. Just acknowledge that you understand that I will not be upset if you don't listen to me. I take all the controlling out the way. This way, now you can talk to me and we'll discuss, because you don't have to comply. If I give you my opinion, I'm just telling you how I feel. What's good for you, you have to decide. The worst thing in life is, especially it happens in marriage so easily, is that we step over thinking that if I tell you how I feel, you have to comply. That's not true. What you have to do is at least honor that I feel that way. And you'll do the best you can to pick and choose amongst all the myriad of my feelings. I'm sure you'll find some that you can honor, just as I would try and do the same with you. But I don't expect you to do everything. That way, it takes all the pressure, all the tension, all the control out the way, and it creates much more harmony between husband and wife. Have I explained that clearly? Is that clearly understood?
Yeah. And the question is, I guess I'm struggling, like, there's this idea of, being enmeshed or codependent, and like,
That's it. You free yourself from that. When you do it this way, there's no codependency. I do not need you to do it. What I would love is if you could understand me, how I feel, who I am. But to actually force you now to comply with all my needs and feelings, no, I'm not doing that to you. I would never do that to you. It's not appropriate. I won't make my happiness dependent on you fulfilling all my needs. That's crazy. I'm not
Right.
the boss here. I'm not in charge. But if I share who I am, I'm sure you'll find some of those things that you could really do, just as I would like to do some of those things for you too.
Right. So I guess I'm in a place that I'm trying to share more, and then it's like, I'm taking these little steps towards that, and then it's like,
Yeah, just
how do
tell
I?
it I'm sharing doesn't mechayev you that you have to do what I'm saying. I'm just letting you know who I am.
Right. But sometimes she does take that as criticism, even though I say that.
So to be very clear, I'm not criticizing you. I'm simply sharing who I am. And you don't have to do everything I'm saying to make me comfortable. I got to grow too. I got to grow too. Okay?
Mhm.
It's all in, by the way, there's this wonderful book. I don't know if you've seen it. It's called Raising a Loving Family. You ever seen it?
Yeah, I have it. I'm reading it.
It's this stuff is all there in the marriage section, okay?
Okay,
All right. Hatzlacha.
thank you.
You're
Okay.
welcome.
I wanted, I have we're going to go back to live questions in a minute, but I do have a few questions that came in here. Let me read this one. I'm struggling majorly with my 9-year-old son who has a diagnosis of ADHD. It's a lot more than that. He's in a specialty provision since because of extremely behavior difficulties. I think most of it is trauma, as we've been struggling as a family since he was a baby. I'm currently on my own healing journey, and parenting him brings up so much pain and fear. My parents were extremely lax about boundaries. I felt unsafe as a child, and I think this has caused me to be over controlling. Of course, his nature is that he fights back. Recently, he has been stealing from shops. This usually happens when he's outdoor riding his bike. He'll lie about it, or he'll steal money to buy treats. I took a step back and realized that I'm too restrictive and need to be a little looser, but I'm struggling with the balance though. I thought it would be helpful if I preempted the stealing, and when he goes out riding, say to him, hey, would you like to buy something? Here's some money, choose something for that amount. Maybe in that way, instead of fighting him, I'm working with him. This feels so wrong to me on many parts, who say that he must deserve to get things and I can't spoil him, otherwise he'll never know boundaries. Can you offer any insight? Should I trust my intuition on this? I'm going to start working with a parenting coach next week, Hashem, but would love to have your thoughts on the situation.
Well, this is a tough situation because you cannot control his life completely. And he has I'm going with what you described. He has a genuine impulse disorder. And according to the DSM, that means he will lie and he will steal, amongst other things, because he's impulsive. The good news is that if we work on ourselves as parents and we dig deep, very, very deep, and realize while you can turn it off, he will grow out of it. If you can just approach him with loving tolerance and understanding, while you're constantly reminding him, constantly teaching him of better choices, you're constantly engaging him throughout these years, many years to come. The evidence seems to be certainly what I've witnessed with my clients, and I'm sure my colleagues feel the same, is these young people will eventually grow up to be productive, happy, successful people. What you can't teach them when they're young, they can learn themselves as they mature. So what you're trying to do is hold on to them and do the best you can to teach them while they're doing that developmental process that we call maturity, which will take many years. In the meantime, there is no way you can turn it off. You can't, there's no switch. There's no, neuroscience switch that you can turn off ADD. What you can do is teach them choices. And that's really what you're doing. If I can just give you just one simple insight on this that's profound. When children become impulsive, what it really means, an impulse disorder, is when there's cognition of a problem, reaction to a problem, that's a regular brain, and a space between cognition and reaction, that's a synapse. In that space, we develop a hierarchy of choices of what to do and how to respond. Here's the threat, and this is how I respond. So the threat could even be, I'm feeling hungry, I'm in the McCulloch or in the store, I see a candy, I'm threatened because I want it, and then I take it. A non-impulse disorder person has this space where you develop a hierarchy of choices what to do. This is an impulse disorder. This is an impulse disorder. They go directly from cognition to reaction. There's no space between. So what we're doing as parents, family, mechanchim with impulse disorder kids is we're opening the space. And you do that by acknowledging their choice and then teaching them a different one. Every time when they make a bad choice, if you can understand the choice they made is not because they're evil, it's because they're impulsive. And you can acknowledge, well, look, I understood you were hungry, so you stole something, or you got caught, so you lied. I understand that makes perfect sense to me. But why don't you try this option and you teach them a second option, a second choice every time. And if you do this over the years, chances are very high he will grow up and he will mature and he will take control of this. Maturity helps, but you cannot just turn it off. There's nothing I know of, or anyone knows of, that can change the neuroscience of impulse disorder and suddenly give him a space. We teach that, and we help him learn by conditioning to open a space to make better choices. I hope I've answered it. I'm not sure if I did or not.
Can I jump in? It was me that asked the question. Can I just clarify? Thank you. So I thank you for your answer, firstly. I think what I feel like at the moment, what I need to do is damage control, because I'm fighting with him so much. And I know someone mentioned earlier about their teenage daughter, that they're struggling between the balance of boundaries and being too on top. He's only 9, and I already feel like I've lost. I have no control over him. Like, he'll literally just run out the house,
Sure,
take things, and I feel in a way like if I'm giving him money before he goes out the house, I'm in a way like I've still, at least I know what's happening with him. It's not like he's lying to me. Like,
I tell you, I know many people who did it and they gave the money and they found that also eventually doesn't work, because you just take bigger things you didn't give him enough for. So it doesn't work either. Really, the real work is your sensitivity, your kindness, your love for him, and the constant reminding, I understand what you did. I get it. Does he know he has ADD? Like, he understands?
He knows he's got ADHD, but I think it's just so much more than that, because I've been parenting from a place of like trauma and control, and I know that it's all backfiring.
Okay, so get a book. There's a brand new book just came out. I think I gave us Skoma for the book. I'm pretty sure I did. And the book is called Post-Traumatic Parenting. It's by Sipora Kozlowitz, Dr. Sipora Kozlowitz. It's out. Post-Traumatic Parenting was written for you. It's exactly this. It was written for parents who themselves had their own trauma as a child, and now they discover how that's invading and affecting their own parenting. So it's a wonderful, wonderful book. Post-Traumatic Parenting, I believe it's in the Jewish bookstores. It's actually written primarily for the secular world, but just see if you can look it up. If anyone can find it while we're here, maybe we could find it on Amazon. Post-Traumatic Parenting by Tzipora Kozlowitz.
I think, thank you so much. I think I feel like a lot of what I'm doing now is damage control. And I feel like I need permission to do that. I feel like I need to know that that's okay. And I'm not going to ruin my child in the process.
If you love him and you keep loving him and you keep interfacing with him over the next probably 10 years, chances are very high he'll grow up healthy. Just don't get angry with him. Don't use anger. You can be tired. You can be frustrated. He'll be fine with that. Just don't use anger. Okay?
Thank you. I really appreciate it.
What's the name of the book?
The book is called Post-Traumatic Parenting by Dr. Tzipora Kozlowitz.
Robin Kozlowitz. Yeah, it's on Amazon.
Robin, right, Robin. She goes by English name. It should be on Amazon. If you can find it and share it with everyone, it's a fabulous book. She's in Lakewood. She's a child psychologist in Lakewood, and it's a fantastic book. For anyone who had their own trauma as a child, you'll discover someone understands you as you're trying to parent. Someone gets you.
Okay, Tova, I think you had a question that came in, and then we're going to go to a live question.
Hi, Tova.
Russell. It's good
How
to
are
see
you?
Baruch Hashem. It's so good to see everybody. Beautiful to see names and faces. Give me a second. Let me read you this question that came in. Okay. Question for Rabbi. So they say that shalom bias is the most important thing for kids. Living with a narcissistic spouse, shalom bias is non-existent. And they say hope for change is an impediment to healing. How do I improve things for my children?
I mean, you're saying if you're married to a narcissist and intend staying married to the narcissist.
That's what it seems like. She didn't write anything about wanting to leave.
Yeah, I've seen people do it. It takes a lot of work and you need specialized help. How to live with a narcissist with healthy boundaries. That you can create boundaries for yourself. It's not easy, by the way. This is really, really, really hard. It's about as hard as it ever gets in shalom bias work, is when you're living with a narcissist. It's really, really challenging. However, you can create certain boundaries. And when you work on yourself to create those boundaries in a healthy way, firm, maybe loving, I don't know, but firm boundaries, the children actually model on you. They watch you, they see you. And there's many, many good things they can learn for their lives from watching you. So even if it's true that we say shalom bias is the ikar, and anyone who's married should be working on their shalom bias because of the modeling. But if you don't have that, and they can model on recognizing how you deal with the problems and the strife and the difficulties and the narcissism, there's a lot of learning they can get from that too. You have to remember one thing. In my humble opinion, it is an absolute empirical spiritual fact that no child ended up in a family by chance. It's impossible. No one believes, it cannot be in Ashkofa that the stork was flying over the house and dropped the baby down the wrong chimney. That didn't happen. The baby went exactly where it was meant to go with the problems that HaKadosh Baruch Hu knew existed in that home. So this is the journey this neshama is meant to go on. It's very important to just take a deep breath and accept that. And then do the best you can to model, especially when your kids are observing it, in a respectful way, how you do your best to have decent boundaries and stand up to the narcissism when you can with respect. That's tremendous modeling for your children.
Okay.
Okay.
YK ZC, I think you wanted to ask a question.
Yeah, hi, thank you. Can you hear me?
I do.
Yeah. Okay, so I have a question about my daughter. She has a minor issue in school. I mean, I don't know how minor. There's a bully in her class. She isn't the one being targeted by the bully, but there's a lot of anxiety going on here. And I was in that school. I'm not sure what my main question is. I'm very triggered by that school. I'm so triggered that I can't even think straight. and all I want is to change her school. And she also wants to change. But I'm scared of doing things out of such strong emotion.
Absolutely.
So I'm not sure.
You don't make
I don't know
any
how to.
decisions. Never make life decisions when you're activated. Never. Always ground yourself first. If you can spend some time doing some mindfulness and grounding, and when you find yourself in a relaxed place where you can acknowledge, I didn't like that school either, and it hurt me, but I'm not activated by thinking of that thought. That's when you can make a decision if you're going to leave, if you're going to change. Don't make it when you're activated. It's a bad habit, very bad. You probably know this yourself. I'm sorry. I hope I'm not patronizing you, but I'm just saying.
No.
It just, you have to do your best to ground yourself, and then in that moment when you are, then you can consider. It might be the right thing. It might not. I don't know. It could be you can teach the skills that you had for dealing with it to your daughter.
I don't know how well I dealt with that school, but I did some sessions on it, but I still have anger coming up, like so much. Like, this school is not a place I can deal with. I just want to get her out of there. And yeah, how I saw this in the chat right now. How would there's still some emotion going on there, even though I'm not as activated as I was a few weeks ago.
If you could do some work on grounding, do some work on some, it doesn't take much, but just make your decision from a place of groundedness where you can, like, you're breathing and you're calm, as much as you can. You're just not activated and angry. It's perfectly reasonable to leave the school. If you really believe that place is toxic, you shouldn't be there. Then you have to be out. You have to go. You can't. Listen, I moved my kids out. I moved, none of my children live in Lakewood anymore. We all grew up in Lakewood. We all lived there. Everyone is out. And I don't blame them. And I don't blame them a bit. I understand them because of their experiences. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with moving. All I'm recommending to you is that you make the choice to move from a place where you're grounded. It's a good habit for yourself in life to always accept yourself first, then make the choice.
Yeah, I guess the second part of my question is, like, I don't want it to come from a place like I'm living through my daughter's eyes. Like, it should be, she's only 9, but it should be because she says she wants it. She wants to get out of there, but I'm scared I'm like kind of enmeshed or some way. That's you're saying, like, I just need to ground myself and do some work.
That's what I'm saying. When you work with your therapist, make sure that you ground yourself first before you make radical choices.
Okay, thank you so much.
It may be by the way, it may be the right choice. I moved my kids out of schools. In fact, I had 6 of my kids never finished high school because they all had learning disabilities, and school was just reckless. I took them out. Your kids should be in a school where they feel safe and they feel secure. That's where they need to be. A place that wants them, not a place if you ever have to use leverage to get them into a school, don't do that. Get them into a school where they want to be, and a school that appreciates them.
Yeah, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Okay, Rabbi Russell, another question that came in here. My 17-year-old son totally ignores me. He talks to my wife and siblings, but even a nonchalant good morning or hello will be ignored. Should I keep the nonchalant hellos going, or does he want space and I should just pretend I don't see him?
Neither. I wouldn't do either of those. I mean, it's a great question, and it's a very common question, by the way, and I respect you for bringing it up. You probably want to drop a note, if you can, into his bedroom one time, leave it on his pillow, just acknowledging that I see that you need space from me, which tells me that on some level, it must be that I've hurt you. And I'd be very, very eager to find out what that is and see if I could repair that damage. I would be very, very privileged if you'd allow me to do so. In the meantime, I'm going to give you the space you need. I just want you to know I'm giving you the space while I'm acknowledging that I probably hurt you. And I would very, very much appreciate if you could tell me how to make sure that I stop doing it.
All righty.
Okay.
Sarah, did you want to ask a live question? If you want to unmute yourself. Hold on 1 second. There you go. Go ahead.
Yeah. Hi, how are you?
Hello there.
I'm a little nervous. I have a question. I happen to be
You're amongst friends. You're amongst friends. We're all in the same place. I'm nervous too that I won't have the right answer. So it's okay.
I happen to be on a vacation with my husband. A small, very short getaway. We're working hard on our marriage. We were sitting on the beach and I was just fantasizing that I would love another day to stay here. Like, I was just enjoying it. And I feel, and my husband was, and I was like, oh, I would love it to stay another day. I was just fantasizing because I know he can't and we can't. And my husband's very straightforward. He's into the truth thing, and he was like, oh, like, why do you have to bitch about it? Excuse my language, but that's what was said. And like, I felt like we were in a moment, and like, just like that, it was like turned totally sour. Now, I know we're leaving today, and I know I have been pestering him that why couldn't we stay till tomorrow morning? I did that, meaning before we even came. And he explained to me that he couldn't. He needed to be home by Wednesday morning. And like, am I wrong for doing this? Or like, I kind of like expected him to say, yeah, I wish we could be here another day. And, that's what was going through my head.
That's how ladies talk like that, not men.
And then I got upset,
Yeah.
So I'm just like, what's the right, what's the wrong?
So that's a difficult question because there's so much encapsulated in what you just said. I could spend hours, if you were my clients in therapy, processing this little story. Hours and hours, so much richness about your relationship right here in this story. But I would say the following, just a couple of quick thoughts. One is, if you already know that he doesn't want to do something or isn't able to do something, then it definitely isn't kedai to bring it up again. If you already know in advance he's not able, I wouldn't bring it up. And if you do bring it up, you should bring it up in a way that says, I understand we've agreed that we're going to go home tonight, and I'm fine with that. I'm just mentioning in case something has changed in your life and you're able to stay, I would love to. If not, don't worry about it. We'll go home. In other words,
but that wasn't my intention.
I know your
like,
intention was to convince him to stay.
No, not either that. I know we have to go home.
Your intention was
fantasizing that we can stay another night.
Yeah, no, but he's not going to. Men don't hear it like that. Men don't hear it like that. It's the validation. That's really what it is. You would have liked that. That if he could have, yeah, and I agree. I think, many of us men fail in that. We get caught up very quickly in the tachlis, the outcome, the process. And one of the things I learned from my wife, I'll tell you something amazing that I learned from my wife years ago. She wanted a new couch. This goes back about 25 years. She wanted a new couch. And frankly, I didn't see anything wrong with the old couch. I thought it was pretty much fine. But no, she wanted a new couch. There was a reason. She saw impediments in the couch I didn't see. I was fine with the couch. It worked. You sit on it. It's got cushions. It looked fine to me. But no, boy, did I get it in the neck that what she really would have appreciated had I tuned in to the fact that she wanted a new couch. Even if we can't buy it right now, we can't get it right now, but she would have very much appreciated if I could have understood that she wants a new couch and she sees a reason for a new couch, even if I don't see a reason for a new couch. I have to tell you, most men are not so good at that. We're not. We should be. It's a chasaron. What can I tell you? Chatasi avisi pashati. We're not, and we should be. But I can tell you in your case that what you're describing is it's a little bit of a setup, simply because he's already probably stressed out and wants to get back and told you about it, and you already had the discussion. So maybe you could just bring him into your fantasy and let him know very clearly, I understand we're not going to stay. I get it. We're not going to stay. We got to go home. It just would have been so nice, and that's not to pressure you, not at all. It's just to acknowledge what a wonderful time we're having and how nice it would have been to stay longer. You have to bring him into your world too. The truth is, I wish we men were better about this, but we're outcome oriented. Don't forget that. Men are outcome oriented, ladies are process oriented. So we fall into this trap all the time. We're not proud of it. And we have to work on it. It's not your fault, it's our fault. We got to work on it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, we have a few more questions, and in the process, due to just timing, I will ask that we have a few more live ones, and then I have a few ones. We're going to try and do it a little quicker, so I think we have one or two more live ones, and then so whoever asked the question, let's just try and we respect the time so we can hop around as much as we can here. Yaman, you want to ask a live question? Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you.
We're having problems hearing you. Do you hear him, Rabbi Russell?
I do not. I'm sorry.
You're not.
I'm listening. I don't hear.
Oh, Yaman, try it again. Try it again. We didn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you.
Yes.
All right, thank you. So we spoke a lot about that when it comes to Yiddishkeit, we shouldn't feel so that we're liable since we're either choile or oines. And as we try, we shouldn't eat ourselves up so much. And I'm like wondering, so when are we liable? Obviously, if we do stuff, it comes from trauma or something. Because if everything is good,
No, in between, it's like this trauma. There's no. I've never said publicly that you have like a carte blanche heta because you have childhood trauma. Never have I said. As a matter of fact, I've said the opposite. It's not true because, as we all know, all of us on this podcast, we on this webinar, we all know that there are times when we're relatively online. There are times when we're relatively offline. We all know it. There's times when you're activated. There's times when you're not. All I've ever said is that if, when you're activated, or a specific mitzvah, for example, activates you, until you get healed, you have the patur of chayla. You're a chayla. You have it in patur chayla. Every trauma victim does, of course. What we're meant to do is work on the chayla to get better so we can then embrace mitzvahs fully and completely. But when you're not triggered, then you're chayiv in mitzvahs just like everyone else. And if you choose not to do it and you're not triggered, then you get einish like any other person would. By the way, all of einish really in the eyes of Chazal is to help us anyway. It's avarachamon, it's just like a father. You don't hate your kid when you punish him. You give him some sort of punishment, hopefully to motivate him to fight his yetzer better. So even punishment is not because Hashem hates you. Hashem loves us all. That's what I said at the beginning. Bonim gadalti v'ramamti v'em pashubi. They're still bonim, says Nesiv Shalom. So the most beautiful, positive image of life is that even though gadalti v'ramamti v'em pashubi, you're still my children. Still love you. Because you're my kids. So there's no carte blanche heta, but there is when you're activated in a trauma state. And therefore, at that moment, you're not able to do something. You have a din chayla, you have a din patur, of course.
Sometimes I have it. It might not be specific in a certain mitzvah or the opposite, but just I'm activated in general. I don't feel in control.
Yeah, so when you're like that, God does not. That's in technical side of halacha. That would be, we all know, right? You've all learned in Fresh Start the neuroscience, that means when you're activated, your prefrontal cortex is either offline or going offline, right? We all learned that. Don't have access to the prefrontal cortex. From a technical sadin halacha, at that moment, when you're activated, that would be a din chayla, and you'd be potter.
So when are we liable? Obviously, if we're good.
When you're not activated, when you're not activated, cram in as many mitzvahs as you can when you're not activated.
Yeah.
And then, you know what you're chayiv in? I believe you're chayiv in repairing yourself.
If you don't take care of yourself.
Yes, if you don't repair, if you don't come to Fresh Start and repair yourself, that you're chayiv for not coming to Fresh Start. Everyone who doesn't come is, and I'm kidding, I'm teasing, but I'm saying you're chayiv to get yourself better. That you are, Shmat Moed Nafshasechem, right? We should all try to do that. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Oh,
Okay,
someone
Rabbi
just wrote something here that was very good. If you dismiss, I think it said, if you dismiss the need to do the work, then you're chayiv. Yeah, I fully agree with that. And unless it's chayla that's making you dismiss it. But anyone who could come to Fresh Start or something like that, and has the money and has the ability and knows they should come and just decides not to, you understand there's something off with that, because we're chayiv to get ourselves better.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, Rabbi Russell, a few more recorded questions. We'll try and do like speed dating here as quickly as we can to respect your time. How to deal with the 17-year-old boy that was sexually abused and is struggling with masturbation. His manal called from camp that my son is having frequent stomach aches. We know that he struggles with masturbation. How do we deal with this?
Say the question again. I'm sorry. I think
17-year-old boy struggling with masturbation.
right.
How do you?
Who deal with it?
I guess the parents, the mother. This is a mother asking.
I mean, the journey of life. You know, that's a complicated question. You know, that's life. That's a lifelong struggle and job. I would do it with kindness. I would do it with kindness and understanding that he's not alone. Completely, totally, utterly not alone. I'll tell you one answer that you know, just the fact that you can connect with him as a parent and make him feel that you're not a Rasha Marusha, you're not a disgusting person. We don't look at you with disgust. We look at you as having a challenge in an area of Kedusha, and we would love to help you with it. Let's see if we can get to the bottom of it. What, you know, what's happening and how can we help you? I would praise him. If a boy came, a 17-year-old boy came to his mother and said, I'm struggling with this. Wow, Ashreichem, what an amazing home you must have, that your 17-year-old son feels safe to come to his mother and say, Mommy, I'm struggling with this. That says to me worlds about this amazing family that have done such a good job of connecting with him. And you got to build on that and praise him and compliment him and then get him, you know, whether it's a mentor who can help him. You know, I don't know the degree. There's people who, unfortunately, they're doing it 7 times a day. And there's people who are doing it once every 7 weeks. You know, I'd have to know what it is specifically for and this is not for this webinar, but you'd have to know the details and you need someone who actually knows that, who could help him.
Okay. Thank
It's a
you.
world of difference between a guy who's doing it 7 times a day and a guy who does it once every 7 weeks. It's a world of difference.
I guess this goes back to what you said, connection,
Yeah.
where it all starts.
Which
Okay.
is, if a boy of that age goes to his mother and asks mother for help, that is an amazing statement about the connection. It's amazing, beautiful.
Okay.
So could I clarify? I sent in the question. The manal called from camp that my son is in the bathroom very frequently, and I know when he's home. I know he's struggling. I know that he's definitely masturbating, and he spends a lot of time in the bathroom.
Right, and the Manal called you from camp that you should do what?
No, he just called my husband. What do we do with a boy that constantly has stomach aches? Like he's in the bathroom a lot, and we know it's not just stomach aches.
Okay, so they should speak, he should speak, so must be someone in camp. Can't be the first time they've ever come across this in camp. That's impossible. Impossible. They need to, someone should talk to him. They need an empathic, caring, Rebbe type person who can sit down and talk to him and make him feel normal. That would be the first step.
Okay.
Okay? And then you
Okay.
and your husband, make sure that if he finds out that you know you got caught, whatever it is, that you look at him, you're a normal young man trying to grow up. Let's see if we can help
My
you.
husband had a talk with him before camp, that it's a
Yeah.
normal struggle,
Good.
and now they're
Excellent.
complaining in camp about it.
All right, so they should get a mentor or someone. I don't know why they're calling you. I mean, it happens in every camp. It's ridiculous.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Here, Rabbi Russell, there's one or two
Yeah.
more here. I'm struggling with my mother. She's a classic narcissist, but I'm struggling with Hilchos Kibbud Av V'Eim. I'm not on the best terms with my parents and siblings. We didn't talk for a few years, but now there's minimal communication. My younger brother made a simcha, and my mother called to let me know that my abuser is coming, knowingly that we won't attend. But of course, it was hard for her to accept it. And since then, she's not talking to me. I want to confront her and tell her that I'm hurting, that she chose my abuser over me, and I know that I will hurt her if I tell her that. But I feel I can't hold the blame anymore. I want to know if I'm allowed to tell her in a respectful way. I'm
Yes.
hurting,
Yeah.
even if I know that she will take it the wrong way.
Yeah. The Gedolei Poskim already answered this question, and this is begeder. Trauma is begeder. The Chavetz Chaim brings in Shmos Haloshen, page Yud Ches. Brings the Gemara. Actually, the Chinuch brings it by the mitzvah, by the Issa, the lav of Nakama. Is it a lav? Someone punches you in the face, and you punch them back. Are you over on Nakama? So the Chavetz Chaim Paskins, no. He brings it from the Chinuch, as a Gemara and Sanhedrin. The answer is no, you're not over on the comma. If you walk away and you get yourself under control and you're fine, and then you get all hits and you go back and punch them in the face, you're over on the comma. It's Shmos Haloshen page, I believe it's Yud Ches. It is in my edition of Shmos Haloshen Yud Ches. It's a Gemara, and you can look in the Sefer Chinuch on the lav of Nakama. It's over there, and the Chinuch brings it down. Anyway, the point is like this: a person who has had a trauma, even the secular world understood that there's no statute of limitations for sexual abuse. Why? Because they understood that trauma can get buried for years and years and years and years, and then emerge later on in life. So how is it fair to have a statute of limitations that you have to file a suit within 7 years, where it's clear that trauma victims frequently bury all their stuff, and then it comes up later on, right? Now, if you put these two ideas together, it would appear that it's not an issue of nakama when you've been traumatized and you get re-traumatized, especially when she put the abuser over the abused, then that's like a fresh abuse. There's no statute of limitations on that. According to this, and I don't want to go into all the details, but I believe the Mashal would hold that if you go and speak to her and you try to speak to her respectfully and it hurts her, that's on her, not you, because she should have protected you from him and she didn't. So yes, you have to go and do it respectfully, very respectfully as you can, but honestly, and let her know how you feel. Of course, it's part of your healing. It's part of your healing. I mean, that's the reality. And I want you to understand, there are many healthy parents who, by unfortunately an act of omission, they weren't aware of what happened. For example, where a brother molested a younger sister and the parents had no clue. Nevertheless, a child that sister feels she has a right to protection, and she can be angry with her parents that they should have protected her. They had no idea what was going on, but she can walk around with deep hurt feelings that they should have known and be very angry with them. I want you to know that healthy parents accept that and encourage her in therapy to let it out and say, you're right, we should have protected you. even though we didn't know, we should have known, but we didn't know it was going on, and we let you down. Healthy parents say that to their children, and they help them heal by owning that. In this case, it sounds like we're not dealing with a healthy parent, but really, she should have been able to do that. And you have a right to go and heal yourself. You have to heal yourself.
Well, this actually ties in directly into our last and final question. How do I apologize to my son? He's 16 for the trauma I put him through. What's the right approach?
Okay, so number one, to be genuine. Don't do it if it's not genuine. You have to really reach a place deep inside yourself as a parent where we can acknowledge that all I had, like I had learning disabled kids at a time when none of us really understood learning disabilities. I had no clue what it felt like to be them. And later on, this is 35 years ago, 40 years ago when they were in school, we didn't really understand how these learning disabilities, we thought if you get them a tutor and you get them, 2 tutors and encourage them to work harder, they're going to overcome their learning disabilities. It's not true. I took ownership of that and I apologized to my kids many, many times over the years. The healthy parent does that. It has to be genuine. You have to be just genuine and be able to go to your child and say, I was only able to work with what I had, the knowledge and the abilities I had. That's what was available to me. I couldn't work with what I didn't have. And I feel terrible that I let you down. I let you down because I didn't have the knowledge. That's what I said to my kids. I let you down. I really did let you down. I should have been there and I wasn't. And you got hurt. And you're entitled to protection by a parent. And the fact is, I didn't know. And because I didn't know, that I let you down. And it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. But yes, I feel terrible that I let you down. Most adult kids, when you're genuine and honest, once they hear that genuineness and you're ready to help them through their lives, they'll let it go. They really will let it go. Because guess what? God put in the nature of man the desire to please your parents and give them nachas. The only thing that interferes in the relationship between a parent and a child is the parent. That's the only thing that interferes. The natural desire of a child, you'll discover this as you get older and your parents are old before they die, you want to please them. You still want to please them. You still want to give them nachas. That's natural, God-given. The only thing gets in the way is the parent. And when a parent can own it, honestly and humbly, and be genuine about it and say, look, I didn't know. And it's not an excuse, it's an explanation. The fact is I did let you down, and I'm so sorry, I'm mortified that I let you down. That kind of genuineness can really help a child heal.
Okay, Rabbi Russell, can I sneak in one more? One more, then we're done.
Sure. One more,
Okay.
one more. And I
didn't have secure attachment with my parents. I don't have a deep emotional connection with anyone, including my husband. I feel such a deep void. How can I foster a deep emotional connection with my husband? He doesn't share with me emotionally as well as with a few friends. Does it mean I need to emotionally connect more to myself? And how do we do that?
Yeah, you would have to connect first to yourself. You need some therapy where you learn to love yourself. You learn to love yourself. You learn to take care of yourself. You go through safe, secure, seen, and soothed with yourself first. With yourself, where you feel safe and secure and seen and soothed by yourself. And you can do that with a trauma-informed therapist will be able to help you with that. And then when you've got that, you take one at a time, little tiny steps of offering safe, secure, seen, and soothed to your spouse. Because guess what? Love is the only thing you get more of by giving it away.
Okay. What a way to end. Yes. Well, thank you, Rabbi Russell, for joining us about Israel. We're going to do this again. Thank you, everybody, for joining. This is 1:30 in the afternoon Eastern time in Kanai Nahara. We had a crowd of 50 people.
Wow.
So this is beautiful. This is wonderful. And Mirza Hashem will do this again next month. And thank you, everybody, for joining. Take care.
Take care. Be well. Thank you. Thank you for the Swiss.
Thank you so much, Rabbi Russell.
My pleasure. Always. Bye-bye.
Good to see
Be
you.
well. Bye-bye.